Perfect. Okay,
Okay.
let's start. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to our journey. It's week number 4, and we continue preparing to pass exam to get certificate as a state cloud engineer. And today, our key speaker, Saheed, will provide us with this journey. He is Google developer expert, cloud and artificial intelligence and machine learning. So let's continue diving deeper into such exciting topic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adewumi and today I will be taking to the fourth week of journey to associate cloud. So today we are talking about ensure successful operation of a cloud solution. So this is a key factor whenever we are working as a cloud engineer. So what are the key agenda for today? We are managing Cymbal Superstore cloud solution, and we are going to be reviewing the diagnostic question and review and study plan. So moving to next page. So here we have a use case of Cymbal Superstore, and we are reviewing their cloud solution. So we are managing the cloud solution for a organization. So the next steps here for managing the Simba Superstore class solution, we are going to talk about managing the compute engine resources, managing GKE, was Google Kubernetes Engine resources. We are going to talk about managing cloud resources, cloud run resources, which is a serverless, and we are going to talk about the store and database solution, managing network resources, and monitoring and logging. So moving forward here, we have like this is a CLI code. Uh, this is used to manage our instance on the terminal. So last time in the earlier of this section, we talked about how different means of mode you can use to access your cloud platform. We have it on console, we have it on terminal, cloud share terminal, we have it on local, whereby you are using cloud SDK to access your cloud platform. So this is used to upgrade your managed instance. So on a cloud computing, we have a command prompt you use to upgrade our instances. So here we have, you can see this prompt says G Cloud Compute Engine Instance Group. So whenever you are setting up a platform or you are setting up an infrastructure, there are different ways based on the project requirement. If it is required, if it's just a simple a simple project, you can just install a single Kubernetes, simple compute engine and start running your application. But in a scenario whereby you have a group of projects or you have a complex project, you can install a template for it whereby, let's say you set up an email, a specific amount of memory, a specific amount of hard disk, a specific amount of resources for this compute engine, and you want to be reuse it every time. You want to attach load balancing. Load balancing will be taking care of anytime one of the compute engine is shutting down, it can restart or delete it and create another one. So that is the purpose of manage instance groups. So this keep your application running. So there are some situations whereby you need to manage it, and this prompt here is using for managing your instance group upgrading. So this here we have rolling action, start updating, and the name of the project. This is the name of the project, Simba Supply Chain, and you set the version of the template you are dealing with, and you give the time. So what they are trying to do here was the prompt here is any dates, like you should start updating if the date is less than this particular time, year, month, and date. And we have the type and region you are trying to set up upgrading your instances. So after this, we are going to talk about the other way we can go with it, like using configuration, using like a configuration file to set up our patch. So instead, there is way of using CLI. We have another way you can set up in your application, whereby you write a file, you write your path or the prompt, you write it in your application and run it in your terminal. So don't be really bothering about this, because we are going to show that on merely practical. We show how you can set up your virtual machine and how you can manage the resources. So moving here, this is talking about database, big data. Last time we talked about what big data is all about with BigQuery. So BigQuery is used for analytics, while big data is used for NoSQL data. So here they are talking about for the transportation management system, they are using big data with BigQuery. So what they are trying to do, they are creating a table, create a permanent external table in BigQuery. So this prompt is making a table and duplicate it for the BigQuery use. So query the data using the permanent table reference in the from clause of SQL query. So what they are trying to achieve here is that they are using SQL query to run the big data. So you are connecting the big data and BigQuery in order for analysis use. So for the transportation management application. So diagnostic question. So we have okay. So we are told to complete this task. So move here. Okay. Our study plan here, you are advised to go to the Cloud Skill booth to click on to check out these courses on Compute Engine, on Google Kubernetes Engine, Cloud Run, data storage and database, networking resources, and monitoring. Literally viewing this because these are the key factor on the cloud, especially during the certification. These are the use case you'll be asking about during the examination. So moving forward, to ensure successful operation of the cloud solution, uh, for managing compute resources, we have to consider some basic factor. So remotely connecting to the instance. So I've said it earlier, if you are running your compute engine on your Google Cloud, you expect to know which type of good best option for you to connect with your instance. So removing connecting to the instance, viewing current running VM inventory. So this we have to like monitoring what is working on your VM virtual machine inventory. Also, we have the working with snapshot. So snapshot is more of like we are doing backup of your instance. So at times something may go wrong. It's better as a cloud engineer, you are backing up your project. So working with a snapshot, configure your instance to be creating a snapshot and deleting a snapshot in a scheduled time, because any backup store will be consuming as it will be an extra charges or extra billing on your infrastructure. So you expect to, let's say, 5 days or 10 days of a snapshot, you can be deleting it just serially. So the backup will be get to update and it will not be redundant in your storage. So work with images. Work with images. We have a situation whereby you are running a project. You already keep a project. If a compute engine like you keep your OS somewhere you are using for your VM. You can create it as an image and configure it with your instances. So you don't have to be every time, you don't have to be setting up your instance every time you are using it. So here we have create an image from the VM or a snapshot, view the image, delete an image. So this is another means of protecting your instances. So some diagnostic question says you want to view a description of your available snapshots using a cloud command line interface, so CLI with Google Cloud, G Cloud command what ucloud command should you use? So here they are talking about if you want to view your instances, snapshot instance. I've talked about earlier that snapshot is the back of your instances you are keeping for your virtual machine. So yeah, to view it on your terminal, these are different prompts, and each prompt, some are not correct, some are correct. So to pick the right one, you have to be making sure like you have to go through the CLI command prompt to understand. And to set it up, maybe after this the presentation, I'm going to show you how you can install your CLI on your local PC, so you don't have to be every time, you don't have to be logging into Google Cloud to access your platform. So yeah, we have this. So Google Cloud Compute Snapshot List. So this prompt is used on your terminal cloud share to show you the snapshot you have on your Google Cloud project. So moving forward, we have some other information, get information about snapshots. So this to list compute engine disk snapshot, we are using this prompt. So if you want to specific, you have to choose the project ID so that can give you for particular project, and we have to describe your snapshots. So at times whenever you are setting it up, each snapshot have its own description, so you can able to get idea of what the snapshot you are saving on your storage. So the second question says you have a schedule snapshot you are trying to delete, but the operation return an error. What should you do to resolve this problem? Most of the time, whenever you are creating your snapshot, it's either you may not have the access, but let's say you are having an admin access to delete, or you have the right access authorization to delete and snapshots, schedule snapshots. So definitely, maybe there are some definitely there will be like you have to detach the snapshot before deleting. So if we still have a current snapshot attached to the instances, it may because more of like you are trying to crash the VM, so it will not allow you to delete the snapshot. So it's better you disconnect, detach it from the VM, then schedule the deleting. So this is the best option. These other options are not in line because deleting incremental snapshot before this is going to affect the whole project, a whole snapshot, but this is the best option. You have to detach it first before you schedule the deleting. So snapshot are incremental. So the way snapshot works, in the first place, uh it will just be like continuous stuff. So let's say you have from first one, we have this is the early one. The second one you created, it will store the with the current information, and the third one it will be like a full recent information. So if you are using your snapshot, the last date will be the current one you have on your VM, on your storage. So the other one will may not be updated compared to this first one you are using. So best way, you can write it in your you can configure it in your deployment file, whereby after some times, maybe after 7 days, create another snapshot and delete the former one. So this will save you redundancy in your application. So these are the courses you can do on cloud skill boot. We have the Google Cloud Fundamental Core Infrastructure. We have architecture with with Google Compute Engine. We have essential Google Cloud Infrastructure. So machine, how you can manage your virtual machine, including the network. So the network at times it's very better if you are used based on the project to protect your infrastructure. So you have to use the best techniques in order to save you cost and at the same time security. So we have further documentation here. If you want to go through it, I will share it with you before maybe after the meeting, after the section. So, so yeah, we are talking about the second section. We are talking about managing Google Kubernetes engine. So JKE, for people that are familiar with Kubernetes, is more of like a platform whereby it make it easy to deploy. So earlier I talked about compute engine. Let's say you are deploying your application. Deploying your application meaning you have to set up your resources, select your perfect memory drive, select of images, which is operation system that you are running for your virtual machine. But Kubernetes engines has a some specific features whereby you don't have to really do a lot. Just write all your file, all your instruction, put it in a Kubernetes. Kubernetes will manage it for you. So that is why Kubernetes is a big deal for deployment platform. So this basic thing we have to consider whenever you are using Kubernetes. You have to be uh, checking, managing the viewing the current running cluster inventory. So you have to be checking some factors, the key component of Kubernetes, which is node, pod, services. Also configure the Kubernetes engine to access to artifact registry. So this is more of like the file that is going to require for Kubernetes to be running your application. Working with node pool, whereby node pool is like a group of pods for your application. So each has its container for your project. Container is like a standalone, a smallest standalone unit of deployment for your application. So other things we have to have idea is working with Kubernetes resources. You have to know the stateful. Although Google provides some tools that you can use to monitor your project. So unlike you are working for a native Kubernetes, so Google Cloud is managing your Kubernetes engine for you using their managing tools. So other one we have managing horizontal and vertical auto-scaling configuration. So the difference between horizontal and vertical, so let's say for instance, you are setting up your project, you set up an instance, and the instance is running a e-commerce website, for instance. So maybe the bandwidth or the capacity of this compute engine or web application you set up on your compute engine is just for 1,000 users or 2,000 users, and eventually maybe during the Christmas time or during the celebration time, one celebration time, a lot of users are accessing this website. So the website had an issue, so because the traffic is too high on the platform. So to do it in a way, you can use horizontal, whereby you increase the infrastructure, increase the memory, increase the storage and the resources for this single particular instance. In another way, vertical one is just like, okay, anytime there is a high traffic on this same website, you just duplicate the instance, duplicate 2 or 3 instances, and this will able to work fine with the with the with the web application. So in this situation, you need a load balancer to make sure that anytime there is high traffic, there should be an ability to create another instance in order to make your application to work fine. So this is auto scaling configuration. But based on the scenario, I think the one that is best to save cost is vertical auto scaling, because this will, anytime there's high traffic, you turn on another instance to make sure your website was able to handle your project. But anytime you are not using it, shut it down. So this save you cost compared to horizontal, whereby whenever you scale up your resources, it takes a lot of time. So that require an internal applicable balancer. Creating the configuration file required for these resources is the proper setting for this scenario. So we are told that we need a internal application load balancer. So load balancer is more of like managing the application, making sure the application is running fine, and we are asked to configure a file required for these resources. So this will see Anthony annotate your service object with neg reference. So what they are trying to do here is like you are trying to configure your app services to make sure your JKE is intact. So this, it will make sure that the communication, the load balancer is taking care of the clusters of the JKE cluster. So moving forward, we have um, internal versus external load balancing in Kubernetes. So we have these structures, this diagram shows like this is a client trying to communicate with the Kubernetes, Google Cloud Kubernetes, and we have the load balancer here. Load balancing is the one managing the traffic in going in and going out, the communication, so taking care of the security and routes. So this ingression, we have the cluster here talking to the services, the routes pick the rules and communicate with the services and choose the pod that is responsible for the response. So this internal and external is dealing with the security of the users to the Kubernetes engine. So here we have what Kubernetes objects provide access to logic running in your cluster through endpoint that you define. So should be services. So services is responsible for the communication from outside your It's the endpoint that is communicate with the coordinate. So user can use services to check which services as which pod is running, which node is working fine. So yeah, we have Kubernetes engine, Kubernetes objects. So the components of Kubernetes, we have pods, we have services. So services will be the one to make sure the pod are working fine, give them an IP, and we have a deployment to manage and monitor. So if you want to shut it down, if you want to monitor the response, the performance of your container, you can use the deployment solution. So, what is the declarative way to initialize and update Kubernetes object? It should be Kubernetes apply. So, anytime you make changes on your Kubernetes, you are using Kubernetes apply to make an effect on your file. So, anytime you make changes in your edit your project, before you can you can activate, you have to use Kubernetes apply to on the terminal. So here we have type of Kubernetes command. We have imperative and declarative. So declarative is working on the directory of the config file. So as I've said earlier, this place is initializing and declarative way updating the Kubernetes object. So from here, these are the objects, and this is command line that is responsible for it to work. So declarative is to apply, and we have the imperative, which are to run, create, replicate, and delete. Overwrite existing state, operate on a single object, specific how your Kubernetes is going to work. So we have the perfect course that look into how the Kubernetes works, how the core course fundamental of infrastructure, the Kubernetes, how deploying your Google Cloud, and these are the documentation. So if you are taking your cloud certification exam, you expect to read or to go through all this documentation in order to have the basic idea in case of use case. So this the third one, we are talking about managing cloud run resources. So the cloud run resources, we have to consider deploying new version of application, adjusting the application traffic split parameter, setting scaling parameter for auto scaling instance. So cloud run is the simplest way to deploy your application, because you don't have to have uh, any technical skill, like deep technical skill compared to Kubernetes and compute engine. So this give you like just write your code, make you to focus on your code. So just write your code and connect with your Google Cloud Run and
I think our speaker had technical issues, waiting for him to be back and continue.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. So, okay, let's
Yeah, I
continue.
don't know that. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I'm disconnected
We
actually.
understand you have technical issues, so don't worry. It's live. It's okay.
So how
Just
many minutes? Where did I? Oh my
uh,
God.
I don't know, few minutes, near 3 minutes.
So do you? Can you the page
Uh,
you?
Present mode. Can you please?
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Let's continue.
Okay. What do you see my cloud run part?
Yes, we can see everything and hear perfect.
Okay. Is it where did I left? Is it cloud run part or was it my last presentation? I want to know so that I can pick from where I stopped. My network disconnected. Hello.
Yes, yes, we can hear, but we can continue with the part where you start.
Okay, so let me continue from the cloud run. So
Yes,
the
from
cloud run,
we stopped at Kubernetes, so let's continue with the part.
uh,
Yes.
so the Kubernetes, we have type of Kubernetes command whereby ones are command for imperative to create, to run, create, replace, and delete. We have one for declarative for apply, working on the tree. So this command is used like Kubernetes apply is used for applying some changes you make on your Kubernetes config files and specific what you want to do to achieve your goal. And we have an imperative where to run, to create and delete and replace your resources on your Kubernetes project, and it's used for overwriting existing states, operate on a single object specific how. So yeah, these are the resources that are available for Google Kubernetes Engine resources. We have getting started with Google Kubernetes Engine. We have skill badge, so click on this, and we have the documentation. So advisably, you have to go through this documentation in order to have idea of how Kubernetes work, especially with Google Cloud platform. So moving forward, we have section 3, we have managing cloud run resources. So cloud run is a serverless platform whereby you are, as a cloud engineer, as a developer, you are just have to focus on your code. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. So it's a serverless management platform whereby it supports some defined programming language like Go, Node.js, Python, and other basic programming language. So this is giving you the user to deploy a new version of an application. So you don't have to be worried. It manages CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment of your application, and also adjusting the application traffic split params. So let's say you roll out an application, right? And you made an update and you don't want to shut down the initial one for existing users, or you are doubting the situation of the new code you wrote, you can deploy this new code and split the traffic. So the load balancing will be, you can split it on percentage, like maybe giving 80/20, and the 80% of the user will be using the old version and the 20% will be using the latest version. So this splitting the traffic will be the best use for CI/CD, so to manage. And if there is any issue with the latest one you roll out, you can shut it down and roll back to the old one, which is 100%. So setting scaling parameter for your auto scaling. So I've said earlier about the vertical and horizontal auto scaling. So Cloud Run use vertical auto scaling, whereby you just have to you can set maximum instance you are using to run your application, and you can set up minimum. So this we have an equation here. Say you have a cloud run service with a database backend. You want to limit the number of connection to your database. So you want to limit the number of instances that is running on your cloud run services. So this is supposed to be set max instances. So set max instances is the number of instances you want to be running on your cloud run for this particular database backend. So moving forward, we have auto cloud running auto scaling. We have the situation whereby you can set minimum, the minimum instance that you have to be running on your cloud run, and the maximum. So this is the situation with like the number of events. These are the instances that is going to be managing it. Um, Setting this, you have to make sure that the number of users, the number of bandwidth you are using on your application so that it will be more effective. So moving forward, these are the costs relate with Cloud Run and how you can use the auto-scaling container instance and how you can deploy, you can check the documentation on deploying on Cloud Run. So section 4, managing storage and database solution. So managing, you have to considering uh, managing and secure objects in a cloud storage bucket. Last time, or our last 2 weeks, we talked about how you can upload on the storage and setting objects lifecycle management policy for cloud storage bucket. So this we are talking about the lifecycle management, whereby you can set, if you are using frequent data access, you can set it as um, standard, we have code line, we have lean line, we have archive. So this type of life cycle management keep you your billing. So another thing you have to consider as a cloud engineer, you have to consider the budget of the organization so that you are not going to, you have to choose the best option for your organization. So this life cycle is talking about this life cycle management policy is talking about saving cost. So the third one talked about executing query to retrieve data from data instance. So we have some database platform. Some are used for existing like a marketplace, like Cloud SQL is using like SQL, just like MySQL and or Postgres. So this is more of like a structured data. We have BigQuery for analytics. We have Spanner SQL. We have Firestore. We have Alloy DB. So all these were used for were used on the database to retrieve data and to set up a data instance, and has benefits compared to the initial like cloud computing, like setting up manually, because most of the time they will be looking after your infrastructure, they will be looking after your backup your project. Also, we have the data deleting protection, whereby if you can, a third party can delete your database because you have already protected for deleting. So this is the benefit of using database instances compared to setting it manually on your compute engine. So estimating the cost of your data storage resources. So we have to considering what best, if you are setting or doing the deployment, we have to estimate the cost of data storage resources, backing up and restore database instances. So each of these data, they support the backing up, creating like a backing up of data. Reviewing job status using data flow. So we can use our data to connect with some existing tools. A good example is BigQuery. You can use BigQuery to do analytics using SQL query to do analytics about your database. So this give for more insights about your data you are getting. Um, so yeah, we have some question here says you want to implement a lifecycle rules that change your storage type from standard to linear after a specific date. What what condition should you pick? So here they are talking about you are using a standard and this file is not used in specific dates. What are the conditions? So the two conditions we are going to take is the created date. So the created before and match storage class. So this, you want to check the time this file was created, and if the time exceeds this uh linear 9 class storage, you are expected to match the storage class or created before. So these two options is going to be in charge of your moving, that will determine the fate of moving your database, moving your storage to layer 9. So we have the other factor which are not correct. Ages does not have anything to do with the life cycle of a data storage, and we have its life is still active, so you can't move it to uh, near line, and also number of newer version. This three factors not, it's not anything really relevant. So my storage, I have to check the position of the storage and also the created before. So this is the time checking. So if the time exists above 90 days, so then we have to move it to 60 to 90 days, then you have to move it to nearline classes. So we have cloud storage lifecycle activities. cloud storage lifecycle actions. So these are the conditions you have to apply on your storage in order to save you cost. So at times, if the storage, if the data exceeds some particular time, you can delete. You can set the storage class to save cost. You can check the condition age created before, custom time before. So these are the condition params we set on our object to make sure the life cycle is intact and it's not costing. It's budget friendly, I mean. So this is the resources related to the managing storage. We have the core infrastructure, architecting, architecting with cloud compute engine, and this talks about the storage database services. So, and this documentation you can read about the storage lifecycle. So moving to section 5, managing networking resources. So what are the, for deployment solution, what are the things we consider for networking resources? We are considering the adding a subnet to existing VPC, expanding a subnet to have more IP addresses, reserve static external or internal IP addresses, working with cloud DNS and cloud NIT. So these are the tools, these are services that making sure that our platform, our infrastructure are secure. So using VPC, virtual private uh, connection, this is used to protect your instances or your infrastructure. At times, you may use this subnetwork to communicate or to have more IP to communicate with existing internally or external. External mostly deal with whenever you are given access to public to use, or maybe you are within the organization, you can maybe whitelist the IPs to some certain users in the organization. So internal is within with the resources. Most of the time is within the resources. So yeah, we have a question. So yeah, we have Cymbal Superstore as a sub network. One thing about networking platform is that it's somewhat tricky. You have to take your time and understand the basic networking terms, IP calculation, subnet calculation before you can able to take this. So maybe you have to do some crash course about the networking part, because if you are not understanding this, you may not able to get the idea of what you are trying to achieve, because it's more of like you are doing the networking engineer, and you are expect you as a cloud engineer to be able to implement the same solution on your cloud infrastructure. So here they are talking about Cymbal Superstore as a subnetwork called my subnet with IP range of 10.1.2.0/24. You need to expand this subnet to include enough IP address for at most 2000 users or device. So you want to expand this subnet IP so that it can accommodate it can accommodate 2000 users or device. So to pick a good option, it says G-Cloud Compute Network Subnet Expand IP Range, my subnet. So this subnet that is we are dealing with, and to expand it, so what they are trying to do here was they are using the compute, they are expanding the IP range, and they are using the command prompt to in this particular location, and using it to prefix length to 21. So this is used to expand the prompt. So this is a networking term, so you have to understand how to do your calculation to calculate the number of uh, available subnet or available IP that is going to be useful for the users. So, and also there are some how to expand the IP address. So there are some basic calculation you expect to max the type of the address. We have IP address, we have machine address. So all this you have to understand as a cloud engineer taking the certification. So correct IP address range, we have to understand the expanded address range 24 to 20. So the higher the IP, the lower the is going to be the low opportunity, because the calculation, based on the calculation, I don't have the calculate, but I know there is a formula you can use to calculate the number of IP. I think 2 raised to power n. I'm not sure, but this is the formula you are going to use, the number of IP you are going to support. So managing networking resources, this is architecting. This is talking about the virtual machine, how you can just talking about virtual machine managing VPC and transmission security measure. These courses and documentation contain that. And also, the final one, we have monitoring and logging. So we have considering including creating cloud monitoring alerts based on the resources metric. So if you are doing deployment, this is so important because anything going wrong on on the infrastructure end, you have to be aware. So you have to be making sure the monitoring and logging gets required attention. So yeah, we have to create a cloud monitoring alert base. So if anything happens to your infrastructure, you may be able to get your alert on your platform. Let's say email, attach an email, emergency email for the organization to get to know what is going wrong. Creating and ingest cloud monitoring custom metrics. So you can set up a metric for your infrastructure, maybe whenever the compute engine is getting to 80%, the CPU is getting to 80%, you can set a log to notify you and to monitor. So this, you can able to study what is going on in infrastructure. So as a cloud engineer, you are expected to be do set up the cloud monitoring custom metrics, export log to external system. So at times, maybe after a month, 2 months, you are trying to know what is going on in your infrastructure. You can export this log and run a query maybe on premises or on a BigQuery to know what is going on. This is just like a monthly report. It will be very good for monthly report. Configure log bucket, log analytics, log route. So this keep everything that's going on in your application. You save it on a storage, call it bucket. So you store it on your analytics, everything you store it on your infrastructure, on your cloud or on your storage platform. uh, so this, you are expected to configure that. So viewing and filtering logging in a cloud logging. So cloud log is like tracking what is going. Let's say I'm running my cloud run. For every query, every endpoint that was triggered, the cloud log will be saving the response and the possible error if any error occur. So at times, this is helping for detecting to track any issue in the application. Viewing specific log message details in cloud log. So at times, maybe you want to trigger an function based on the message. So you can use a customized log message details to do another event, to trigger another event in our application. So this help log message details in your cloud logging. Using cloud diagnostic to research an application issue. So as if you are deploying, you have to consider this, using this for to checkmate your application, especially for the production use. Viewing Google Cloud status, you have to see setting up your cloud Google Cloud status to see how performant it is. Configuring and deploying ops agents. So this is more like a tools we use to monitoring. It can be third party tools you can use to manage your application. So deploy manage service for Prometheus, sorry. So this is a tools by Google, as a tools by for Kubernetes, as an open source tools integrated. You can integrate it on your application. So this is more of like logging, but it is used in an industry, in a cloud industry, for your monitoring or report of your application. So you can use third party agent to track your application effect. So configuring auditing logs. So if you want to audit your application, you can use this to configure your auditing. Sorry, to configure your logs. So use this for auditing. Just like this log messages, you can use this to audit your application performance. So we have a solution here where Cymbal as Superstore supply chain management system has been deployed and is working well. You are tasked with monitoring the system resources so that you can react quickly to any problem. You want to ensure the CPU usage of each of your compute engine instance in US Central 1, this is a deployment region, remain below 60. So you want an incident rate. If exceeded this value for 5 minutes, you need to configure the proper alert policy for this scenario. So as I've said earlier about the logging, so you send a scenario, an event whereby the CPU, if it's above a certain resources above 60%, you are expected to trigger with if running for above 60%, the CPU are running above 60%, above 5 minutes. So there should be a proper alert policy for this scenario. So you want to set an alert for this particular compute engine. And we have this different option here. So this best option, it says choose resources type of VM instance, metric of CPU utilization, consider trigger if any times Siri violate, consider is above threshold of 0.5 of the CPU for 5 minutes. So each compute engine, Kubernetes, all these resources has their own logging and monitoring. So that makes it easier for developer or for cloud engineer to detect the issue on your infrastructure. So you have already whenever you are setting up your infrastructure, you can able to configure it like anything. Anytime the CPU exceed 60% within 5 minutes, trigger an alert for the users. I mean, for the users or the person, the cloud engineer available for the notification so that they can look into it. So this prevents um, any issue or any downtime in the application. So we have cloud operation custom alert, we have what condition, and we have how the notification is going to. Then we have the basic factor we use to do our custom alert is the resources. So whenever maybe like we see the last time, this is talking about the 60%. So anytime above, we are using the resources to checkmate our infrastructure. We are using metric, we are using threshold to manage our infrastructure. And how are we get it done? To use uh we have notification channels. So who is to notify? How are they get notification? And what documentation do you need to provide them? So you may have like as a cloud engineer, you may have different guys, maybe back end, front end, DevOps guys you are working with. You can set up a channel, maybe anytime a backend application and APIs resulting an error or returning an error for the infrastructure, for the compute engine or any infrastructure you are using. You can notify the backend. So who is notifying? So they can notify them. How are they notifying? You can notify them through their email, maybe a third party with Google supports third party notification platform like what Signal. You can connect with it and you will get your notification with the help of service called pops up. So this notification will help the people that in charge to get the right notification at the right time. So, and this also talk about what are type of data. So we have to give the details of what is going on. So this notification channel help to track what is going on with the application. So these are the resources available. We have resources monitoring. We have different type of this. I think this section in your certification exam take major parts like I think 25% of it, because it's really matter on how efficient are you tracking your infrastructure. So we have a question here. What GKE objects? So this is a knowledge check. So this what GKE objects implement an app application load balancing is ingression. So ingression is dealing with application load balancing. Because if you remember the diagram I showed earlier, we talk the ingression communicate with the client and uh, communicate with JKE objects. So which cloud run autoscaling setting should you set if you want to limit cost? So I think it should be maximum instance, because a minimum instance is minimum instance you are running, and maximum instance is the number of instance you want to run at most. So to save your cost, you are not expected to the higher the instance, the higher the cost. So to set it, you have to give the maximum instance a limit. So most of the time, what I do is anytime I'm using Cloud Run, I set it to one. So the maximum instance should be one. So I don't want it to, it's either one or shut down. So this really keep the cost low. But if you are working on a bigger project or you have expecting thousands of users, you are advised to set up based on the number of users you are expecting. So yeah, this is the journey, and thank you very much. So let us visit. Let us do the basic. Uh, let us do a simple lab. So to show us how we can deploy a Cloud Run, coming Cloud Run. So I'm logging into my Cloud Skill Boot, and I want to run my Cloud Run. I want to run a lab. Okay. Now, so deploy a serverless. Okay. Deploy. So we have different courses here that we can go with, but I will prefer developing a REST API with Go and Cloud Run. So here we have demonstrates on how to build a REST API with Go and Cloud Run. I think this will be a good option. Let us go for it. So it's coming up. Okay. Um, so it's coming up. So, okay. So this is the course. We are deploying a pet theory. So in this scenario where for a serverless, I've said earlier, Cloud Run is a serverless. So you just have to focus on your code. You don't have to worry about the managing the infrastructure compared to JKE and Kubernetes. So sorry, compute engine and Kubernetes server. So here we have this our object. By the end of this, we are to develop a REST API with Go. So if you are not familiar with Go, you can use Node.js, you can use Python, you can use any other programming language that's supported by Cloud Run. So import a tester customer data in Firestore, connecting the REST API to Firestore database, deploy the REST API to Cloud Run. So what we are trying to do, like we are deploying our Cloud Run to the to the we are deploying our Go code backend API, REST API to our Cloud Run. So here we have the tasks here. You can see we have all the tasks we are expecting to achieve. So moving forward, we have the prerequisites. So the prerequisite says you should understand how important data to the database and how we can build a web application with Firestore, how we can build uh, a serverless application that creates a PDF file. So this, I don't think I'm coming. Hold on. Okay. Okay, hold on. So here we are trying to, this are the basic what you can use to deploy on the Cloud Run. So I want to check the requirements. So all these requirements before you take this course, before you take this lab, you are expect to have the idea of it. So if you have idea of it, fine. But if you don't have idea of it, you can just copy this each task and just you can just able to. So I think this is just a build a serverless application that can run create a PDF file. So this architecture, so this to have its own requirement, but let's stick to this. Let's stick to this. So since that we are deploying our Cloud Run, so firstly we are asked to set up our environment. Click on Start Lab and how to start your lab and sign into Google. So these are just the our official way, like logging into our console and all. So yeah, uh, let me click on Start Labs. So I'm using my uh, credits. So okay. So first thing, first and foremost, you are expected to open it in private to save you from incurring costs. So I open it in my private environment. So I copy. Let me see. So yeah, so automatically it give me the authentication to sign in. So successfully, I've been able to log in, agree with terms and condition. So earlier I talked about the cloud shell. For people that are not familiar yet, we have this the cloud shell. It's a fast way to react with uh, your environment, your cloud environment. Apart from the local one, apart from using cloud SDK. So if you are checking the SDK, uh, you can check out the cloud SDK. So you just have to open your terminal and run your prompts instead of coming to the Google Cloud and do your configuration. You can do it on your terminal. So here we have, I was told to first confirm the active accounts we have. And oh, sorry. So we have this. So copy this. So Google Auth G Cloud Auth lists. So this shows the number of accounts login on your project currently active. So just to be sure, at times you may have more than one project you can switch. So to pick the right so that you will not be doing infrastructure. The list of the projects, the active projects we only have one, which is this. So moving forward, we are trying to set up um, we are trying to set up our application. So iRuby. So this is what they are trying to do. This is the customer and this is the customer, this is the consultant. So we are trying to set up a REST API. And to do that, we are told to enable Google APIs. So Google API, if you are enabling it, if you remember and do something like this earlier, whereby if you are using some additional services, you are expected to to turn on the API so that you can use the services. Because if you set it up, if you install the services, it's going to be charging you. So any service you are using, you have to enable the API. So this says I should copy this code on my terminal. So before I can do that, you see something we call project ID. So I'm expected to replace this project ID with my project ID here. If I copy and paste, there may be an error. So I open my terminal, I'm open my notepad, uh, paste it, and I replace it with my project ID. So this, yeah, going. So yeah, paste it. So at times, so yeah, I'm trying to enable my API. So okay, says done. It says the Google Cloud document must be. Oh, okay. Sorry, I think they have already defined my project ID in the project. So there's a way you can, just like the normal CLI prompts, you can define your params before you start your project. So it will be stored instead of doing it manually the way I do, copy and replace. So you can just define it from the beginning of your project and just use the ID you export to get the project right, to get the access to the right variable. So just like setting a param variable from for your terminal. So here we are asked to clone our pet theory repository. So this is the Golang project. We are expected to clone it. So clone it. Click here. Oh, sorry. Why am I copying it again? Okay. So I'm cloning the project now. So when we are waiting, moving to next. So use the favorite text. So here we are expected to switch to our editor. So you can do your editor on your code. So click on editor. Got it. So I'm trying to connect with my Cloud Shell editor. So yeah, so this is the file for the project. This is the file for the project. Pets. Okay. So this is the file for the project. And moving further, it says like I should assess the pet theory. Okay. So they asked me to use the favorite to view the go.mode and go.sum. So, oops, 7 coming. Lab 8. So we are going to lab 8. You can see here we have lab 8 here. So the project is in lab 8. It's coming up. Okay. So this is the fire store. All the infrastructure we need has already been setting up. We have the configuration, all the file has already been setting up. So we don't have to check any other thing. So it said create a main.go. So let me create a main.go. Main.go. So here we have it. So one thing, okay, allow new file main.go. So I import my package. So yeah, here we go. Let's see. So I copy the code. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to, if you are familiar with Go programming languages, the basic way you set up your project and the port, you set a port, you set your what the log you are going to be getting. So this is just like in basic configuration. So in the above, you say notes in the above code, you create an endpoint to test the service is up and running as expected by pending view1 to service URL. You can verify the application is functioning as expected. Cloud Run deploying containers, so you need to provide container definition. A file, Docker file, tell Cloud Run which Go functions to use, which file to include in the application, and how to start the code. So here we are still to create a deployment file, which is Docker file. So here we are expected to create a Docker file here, new Docker file. So and from Docker file, I pick this is the prompt you are expected to use the Go file, the type of the configuration. So I'll copy this, paste it. So yeah, it says the file is execution by run the file to build the Cloud Run. So here we are asked to run our file, and to do that we can do that the terminal. Okay. So okay, I'm going run the following command to build. Not fine. Okay. Um, so I have to move to the part. See pet theory. CD lab 08. Okay. So build. So I was able to run my build file and shows. So my files is matched. You can see we have Docker file, we have command, main.go, and server. Do we have? So because I run this prompt, so just if you are familiar with Go languages, just the basic way around. Same thing if you are running the same steps, if you are running Node.js, you are expected to use the same way to deploy your application. So here I would say deploy your simple REST API by running. So this prompt, we are told that if we run this prompt on our terminal, we're expected to deploy it on our Cloud Run. So let us copy this. Yeah. So the task 2. So this command build a container with your code, put this artifact for your project. So let us check. Oh, controlling permission deny. What? Permission. This authentication as a student. Why am I restricting getting restriction permission? Okay, let me see if I can run it on my terminal here. Let me switch back to my terminal. So okay, so I'm same error. The caller does not have permission. I think this is the same issue we are having the last time. Check my progress. Does not run. I'm expecting to build. So yeah, it's building now. It happens. So sometimes if you are running your project, you may be getting some issues. So you just have to make sure you are doing it that and try it again. But if you are finding difficult, you can easily contact or drop it to the group or contact the customer support here so they can able to assess the issue. So this is going to take some time before it will be done. When we are waiting for it to be done, okay, it has done. So let's click on this. We are told to move to the CI/CD continuous. Okay, view all products. Where's products? Oh, okay, view all. Okay, so I'm trying to look for this. Let me just search it here. So top resource, okay, products. So it opens. So you can see here we have the same thing here. Let me check. Yeah, so we have successfully deployed our application. So using this, so we create to do review of what I've done so far. I enable the API. They have existing projects already in Golang. I clone it from GitHub. I add some file for running the application, and I added the Docker to deploy, and I built the file on my terminal. Then I I deploy it on my cloud run. So sorry, I build the file on the CI/CD platform. So here in once the container has built, deploy it. So I was told to deploy the container. So the Docker has already dockerized the file. So I have to dockerize the project. So I have to build. So click on this. Come here. So here you can see if you go through this cloud run instruction was told they give you the file name, right? They give the version, they give you the platform manage, the region, they allow unauthenticated because any API you have to set it unauthenticated so that the third party can have access to the API. So we have maximum input instance is 2. So the maximum instance we expect to run for this project is 2. And let's see what so it's running. It's going to take some time before it sets. So it's deploying the new services, creating, routing the traffic. So we have to give it some time. When we are waiting, we can be checking this. So yeah. So let's see. So we have deployed. It shows that we have deployed. So we have deployed. So but although it's still running, but it shows that we have deployed. So when we are waiting for that, we can proceed not to waste our time. So at the end of this, it's going to return us the API just like this to access our endpoint, to access our project. So now another communication still comes on. So the client again, the consultant to use. So this is the communication between the organization. You say, hey Patrick, do you still have the postal code customer data? We create a white bag. We need that for testing. Do you remind how to set up a fire database and import data? So this was just talking about the data and how they want to connect the application, the REST API. They want to connect it. So yeah, you can see after this, I'm going to zoom in. You can see this return an API, an URL. So this URL, we want to confirm if it is working. So to confirm it's working, we were told to put this part. So to put this part, let's see. So let's see. You can see here showing status is running. So meaning our server is running fine. So we have successfully deployed the server. So now we are trying to connect with our database. So this second part, the third, we are trying to get the database. So to get that, we are told to reach out to the database Firestore. So what we just do from here? Um, so I'm just searching for, so you can go through this site and look for it, but to make it faster, I can just search for the Firestore. Yeah, so this is the Firestore we are talking about. So the Firestore, click on it, the database. So on the Firestore, we are told to click on create a Firestore database. So create a Firestore database, click on this, creating your Firestore, and we are asked to select the standard edition. So this is a standard edition. We have enterprise. So you can see each based on the cost. So you have to be making sure that your project you are selecting, your resources you are selecting on the project is in line with the budget you have. So this enterprise is costing to uh, 0.32 gig, but this is costing 0.20. So we are going for this by default. And under the configuration option, select Firestore native. So I was told, I think most is already on default. For security rule, choose open. Security rules, open. So this restrictive, I have to change it to open. And the location, select region. So we are told to select this US East 4. So the location, region, so the region, uh, okay, yeah. So we select US East 4. So you can see the difference between multiple regions is this: support multiple location, like the latency will be very low if you are accessing it from different location, but region is going to be based on particular, but it will have effect on the high latency on other parts. So choosing one region will make it easy for fast loading. So here we are selecting US4 and we are expect to create database. So to create database, click on the create. Okay, sorry, let us give it a name. And we can call it, let us call it our project name. I'm not sure if it's going to support the file name. Okay, it's not supporting. So let me just use students. Okay, let me just use this so that let's create it. So yeah, we just create a name and let's see. So yeah, successful. We have creating our database, although it's still running. So when we are waiting for it to run, let us when we are still waiting for Firestore to get set up, let us connect. So we are importing our file from the cloud storage bucket. So this file, the storage database we are looking for, has already been keeping on the cloud storage. So let us access it. So yeah, to do that, I'm copying this on my terminal. Reconnect. So most of the time, if you connect to multiple, we have already connected, so this will be disconnected. So let me close this leave for now. You can come back later. So I've connected back, copy this. Yeah. So yeah, that's migrate. So let me copy the file. So you can see this, if you are familiar with, if you are getting the documentation and try to understand this. So this is a prompt, a command we use to communicate with storage. So mb make a bucket, and this cp means create. So at times they may ask you your question, I mean your certification, whereby they put a different prompt, and they may ask you what may probably happen with this type of prompt, CLI prompt, command prompt you are using. So this, you have to understand what the function of each, and to understand it better, you can just go to the documentation to read more about it. So copy this. We have this. So yeah, it says not found. Now import. Okay, let's see. Is this running? Yeah, it's running. Let's try it again. Now there's something wrong. More specific. Yeah, can't. Okay. So to specific. So right now, I think I'm having this issue. So I have to come back here to activate the account on my terminal to activate this. So I think it's having issue to identify. So I have set it. So let me run it again. Out the database. Okay, I think let me do it this way. Just dash customer. Okay, I think I made a mistake. The mistake I do here is to, okay, hold on. Oops. I think my project, I'm coming on database. I think I made a mistake in creating a wrong file name. Let me see if it support that. Oh. Edition opened, region. Okay. I think the file name I created is what is causing conflict here, and I've already imported, so I just have to wait. Okay, let me run it again. Sorry for that. Does not exist. Not found project, but the project is here actually. This command. Okay. I've already set on active account. So let me run it again. Already exist. Try and bucket another name. Okay. Okay. Oops. This authenticator student. G beta files. I think I'm having issue with my coming. So so actually I'm trying to do it on my terminal to import the Firestore file, but it's rejecting. I don't know why. So I want to do it manually. And to do that, you can just come here on the Firestore, click on import, and select browse on the local storage, because we have already, this prompt has already copied it on my storage. So I want to do it uh, manually. Select, let's see. Okay, so that's important. So yeah, so I have successfully import the data. So this another way. So if you have find it hard, maybe you are having some issues, maybe network, because I'm still the one using the access, so the project is still belongs to me. So I don't know what caused that. But if you're having the issue, you can just go through and just do it manually. So that's, as a cloud engineer, that is your task to make sure everything's get done. So yeah, moving forward, so it says connect the REST. So our last task now, have successfully import the data. So to connect the REST API, connect the REST API to the Firestore database. So to do that, I in this section, I was told to this section we have Ruby. So for example, they want to connect with the DB. So firstly, let me go back to the class shell. Okay, so it shows this. So I have to go back to my code and copy this. So to do that, I have to update my code. So switch to my environment, switch to editor. So drag it up so that, so going back to the main, this is the default code we use. So I was told to set the project ID to this and to this. So yeah, copy this. Okay. So I don't know why. Oh, sorry. So there are this Angular's Golang project ID is okay. Add the customer file button. So add the Angular support at the buttons. So this, I was told to add it to this and add this to the customer support as add a bottom of the file. Okay, so I think everything is fine now because all the file is working. No error, so no code error here anymore. So yeah, save the file. So save the file, save. So start saved the file. So let me run it again. I have to do deployment. You have to do the new deployment again. So this, which statement return the success? So this is just a Golang prompt. I got customer which are responsible for, I think it should be this customer handler. So this, if you just check this code, is just based on this question is based on the code we have been given. So this right statement returns success to the client. Obviously, this because it can even say like this success. So they just want you as a cloud engineer to understand the purpose of the code. What function ready from the Firestore. So it's get customer because the file name says it all. So yeah, I have to build. Let me build the file. I have to build so that I can have the latest codes because I've changed, make some changes. So I have to build. Now to deploy, I have to go back to my cloud shell. Let me see if I can deploy from here. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, it's working now. Yeah. So the Docker is running. I'm running the Docker. So checking my progress. Let's see if it is moving progress. Let's see. So yeah, so it's successfully deploying right now. So you can see we call it another version 0.2. The first one we deploy, we had additional version to on the deployment. So to update our our deployments on the cloud run, we have to run it again, run this deployment for the cloud run. So we give Docker to build the file, and we are deploying again. So deploying, let's see. So yeah, we have our DB. So this is the our URL we created. To do that again, we are told that we have to let's see if it's successfully deployed. Okay, successfully deploy. Fine. So are they the same? Yeah, it's still running. It's still running. So it's still running fine. So to do that again, we are asked to set a new path to append this to the code, and let's see if it's going to work. Okay. So this is the path of the file. Let's see. So the distance does not exist. Oops. Okay, let me try remove this. Oh, okay, what happened? Okay, yeah, broken and do this one. Okay, let me try another DB. Not find database default exist. I'm expecting it to return a JSON file code for me. Oops. Okay, V1. Okay, V1 customer the ID. So before I can, let me check if we have the ID. Let me pick this. Let me copy this. I think they are the same thing. Oh, database does not exist for the project. Oh my god. And wow, so I don't really know what happened actually. Expect because I've successfully have the data here already. But everything is working, even the API is working. Or maybe it has not done deploying. So at times, if you are deploying on the Firestore, let us confirm if the latest deployment, if it is up and running, our cloud run. Okay, 2 minutes ago. So earlier I was talking about the cloud run UI. So if you are not familiar with cloud run, so this how it looks like the cloud run. We have different service we are doing for service. So this is what I deployed 90 minutes ago. So let me try it again. Let me refresh again now. Oh, I don't know why it's not connecting. I think everything's running fine. So actually, so you can see this is what I was talking about earlier. We have these two deployments. So if you want to split, you can split. Let's say this is the latest one is 100%. So you can split this. You can split for the second version. Okay, sorry. So I can set this to be 50. So and select the latest deployment, which is the latest. I can deploy this. So if I deploy this, you can see it's becoming 50-50. So these two machines are working 50-50. So if I click on the existing, it still be working for the existing users, and the latest one will still be getting the latest update. So this is really perfect for CI/CD application because it make work easy, and you can easily get the logs. So the observability, you can get the logs, metrics. So the metrics will be number of the query, prompting, you can able to get the CPU, the container uh, response. You can able to get the log for the error. So you can say says this is the error. So if you find an issue, you can look for the error here. So it says payload not set. So if I'm the backend, I have to check my code, check my connection with the Firebase if they are in line. I think, yeah. So I think this is the issue. So I can able to the timestamp is there already, and you can easily connect with your cloud monitor, or you want to send the trigger, just use the cloud monitor to notify the end user about it. Sorry, to notify the maybe the backend or the users that are using the application. So these are the endpoints I called early, and it talked about the response: 500 error, 400 error, not fine. So all this is helping to track the project, the instance response. So I think this everything is working fine, because right now I have it 100%, but I don't know why it's not connecting with my database. I'm not sure it's not why it's not connecting with my database. So for today, I think so most of the time, if you find yourself in this type of situation, you are expected to just try it again, end the lab and try again. But everything's running fine. Just little steps of connecting, because the database is working fine. The database is working fine. Um, the database is working fine. So this is the DB. It's working fine. Enter your user ID. Okay. I'm gonna review this again. So yeah, so this run okay. Okay. Everything's looking fine. Everything's looking good. I think it's better because it's the issue between the data connection in the Firestore customer Firestore defaults. Um, so I'm trying to figure out why it's not responding with this one. Enter the user ID. Let me see if this is going to work. So, okay, let me refresh again. Oh, so definitely it's not connecting to my DB. So, I think uh, this is the end of the project, because yeah, we pick it up actually. So this is the end of it. So for the task so far, we enabled. Let me recap what we do throughout this task. We enable the API. We clone the GitHub code. Um, we had some file main.go. We confirm using the editors, and we use a Docker for deployment, and we build. We make sure the file are intact just as we have it here. We deploy on the we build the Docker. We run the Docker. We can see the file artifacts, and we run the cloud run again, so to deploy the first version, and we're able to get the route, which is this. We're able to get this response which says it's running. um okay, it's running, so it's running fine, so everything's checked, showing running, so you can see. So later on, we talked about how we get our DB. We connect, get our database, click on Firestore, create a Firestore database, standard edition. We select the Firestore native, select the configuration, we set up our Firestore. We get our database from according to this communication, according to this discussion, we have this file already in the storage. We copy it on our local storage, and we import it, but we import it manually. And we edit the code again, whereby we want to see the list of the customer ID. We modify the code to handle the situation for our application, and we build again. We build again. We deploy on Docker. and we deploy on the Cloud Run. So I think that is all. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Oh, I want to stop